get on that ass real quick one time. 144, bitch.
Run that shit up, Trey.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Wait up, let me make a call right quick. I'ma start another war. I was hurting when she left, but I don't care about it anymore. I need a Selena like my Nina Puffer Ford. Took a Zach, watch the door. Matter of fact, lock the door. Any problem, let them come. We gon' snatch they soul like Shang Tsung. Put them out of service, keep them tools like Miss Harbor Free. Try to hold me, it's way too late. I'm headed straight to the safe. Throw that one up like a trophy. I'm that nigga, ain't no debate. Told them boys we taking over. Call them up like set the date. This shit a piece of cake. Yeah, my bitches came from Whole Foods. Told them put on that top 3. Then bring me my house shoes. Don't make excuses, make moves. These niggas ungrateful, gotta show them UPK rules. I'm make hits like I can't lose. They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Yeah, I just got off the call. I'ma start another war. Spit a plate up with my niggas. Get your knife and your fork. They ain't locked in with the cow. Then would you speaking to me for? Yeah, I just took the floor. Ain't no cowards in my campaign. They can't stop the campaign. Tell them bring the champagne. They know I'm a champion. They can see the outcome. Get them niggas bad. Got them tied down and out there. Can't do with them steppers. Niggas been down since day one. We run up the bands, bitch, like Dylan. They say you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. Yeah, about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. I told you niggas, you ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. And I just made the call. We gon' start another war. Yeah.
Backstage.
Yeah, nigga. Fake ass nigga.
You ain't no Israelite, but you a gospelite, bitch.
Fuck you talking about? Hey,
If that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch. Sharp on shit, I'm bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Fuck nigga don't want war. It ain't enough clips in your army. All the bitches wanna take my piece. All they hoes wanna take my piece. All the niggas wanna take my piece. No, I can't let a dog take it from me. I can't let a dog take it from me. You a whole study and you dummy. And these bitches really out this bitch walking around like they don't know nothing. And a lame nigga fall for them and get set up for the coins and get gunned down, man down. Shoulda took the time, get a damn no. But I see the shawty and I show her. She could never get a police hold. You a dirt ass, rust ass neck bitch with a fake ass jury. In Tennessee while I'm touring. It's a Tennessee, but she luring. Yeah, that sucker duck bitch ass boy, fuck nigga over that bit mugger. I say, if that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch. You a lame nigga down to me. Eat candy, but I'm sucker free. You a little nigga, ain't none of me. Base up, boy, I fit a beat. Yeah, AR-223. Draco with a magazine. Yeah, that clip run like limousine. I shoot your ass in the spleen. Boy, I bust your ass in the temple. We debating by the temple. Tell the truth, boy, you's a victim. And you squirm off like a lizard. Nigga walk down my road. Why does nigga come down my road? Boy, come down my road. Boy, I charge your ass toll fee. I'm a real big priest, nigga. UPK play for keys, nigga. Commander General get a damn order, but ain't nothing to me to damn kill you. I was stalking his ass like a cat. All weapons, boys full of tech. Boy, like a close comeback. Nigga got popped off for a neck. If that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy, you be done to try. South Coast shit, we bout it. UPK shoot solid, little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood or hood more than you, bitch.
Christ said 7 women gonna be on one nigga in the end time. Nigga, fuck wrong with you, boy. Stressed by that damn hoe ass bitch. Fake ass nigga too. Dumb ass motherfucker. Fuck you.
Backstage.
All right, Shalom, Israel. We the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. Saying this is our Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. We break down the scriptures from a linguistic perspective. You know what I'm saying? Something that your Christian pastor, your Christian church, or whatever, whoever will never in a million years do. Even some of your, you know what I'm saying, these fake Israelite groups who are not authorized under the authority of Christ. You know what I mean? Who are not authorized, they'll even get rid of the Hebrew in its entirety, or say that it's not valid or whatever. For whatever reason, they'll get rid of the Hebrew, our native language, our native tongue in its entirety. You know what I'm saying? We go into the scriptures and we break it down line upon line, word for word, verse by verse, phrase by phrase, and give you the absolute breakdown of the Bible from the English to the Hebrew. You know what I mean? And we go into the Greek as well and help blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans be able to understand the Bible thoroughly from the New Testament perspective, because a lot of confusion, or a lot of the lies and the deceits that the Christian church teaches comes from the New Testament and then their misunderstanding of the Greek. You know what I mean? New Testament was written in the Greek, but New Testament was written in the Greek, or translated from the Greek rather. But what you got to understand is it was written by a Hebrew speaking people. We had just lost our way, lost our culture. You know what I'm saying? So our records were written in a strange language, but it was written from the perspective and from the context. You know what I'm saying? That's a word that your Christian pastors would love to run from, but it's written from the spirit and the context of Hebrew speaking people in the Hebrew language, which is the language of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So that's why it's so important to understand the Hebrew, understand the Lashawan Qadash. You know what I mean? So important. That's why we go into the scriptures and we break down the Lashawan Qadash, and so the blacks, Hispanics, and Native America can understand and learn our language and get our oppressors' heathen language out of our mouths. You know what I mean? That's the whole point. So that's why we do this every Friday. If you got any questions online or in the room, you know what I'm saying? If you got them online, put them in the chat, whether you watching on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, wherever you see this video right now. Go ahead, put your questions in the chat. If you got any questions in the room, you go ahead, raise your hand, ask your questions. And that's the whole topic of the class. Tonight's class is going to be centered around how to ask your questions, right? The whole point, you know what I mean? If you're learning a culture or especially a language, you know what I'm saying? Learning a language isn't like, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like learning, you know what I mean, math or learning, you know what I'm saying, like, or breaking down, you know what I'm saying? It's not like breaking down the scriptures. Learning a language, you have to completely immerse yourself in this language and in your culture for you to understand how this language works. You know what I mean? Not you know what I'm saying, not knocking the scriptures, you know what I'm saying? Of course, learning the scriptures is absolutely important, but what you got to understand is learning the Lashawan Qadash is not like, it's not the exact same process or the exact same way. You're not going to learn the language, the Lashawan Qadash, the same way you would learn the scriptures. All right. So what you want to do, you're going to have to immerse yourself in this culture, meaning you're going to have to really dig deep. And just like you learned in kindergarten, you know what I mean? Just like you learned in kindergarten, you're going to have to really dig deep and take it from the foundation. You had to learn your ABCs, right? Not even understanding that it was your language, not even understanding that it was just like, you thought it was a song at first. So you would just learn the song of the ABCs, and then you learned the, you know what I mean, each word or each character or letter, which Americans call the alphabet letters, well, each character one by one. And then once you learn that, you learned each individual sound, and then you learned each font. Maybe you started off, you got familiar with the capital letters, and then you had to get familiar with the lowercase letters. You know what I'm saying? All of them don't look the same. You know what I'm saying? All of them aren't easily, at first, when you're a kid, they're not all easy to associate with one another. Then you had to go into cursive. And then before you know it, now, as you're reading, you pick up any book right now, just go to the library, pick up any book. It don't matter what font it is. It doesn't matter if it's in cursive. It doesn't matter if it's in print. It doesn't matter what font it is. It doesn't matter the size of the font. It doesn't matter. You can recognize the characters. You could just skim through it and just read your oppressor's language. But it took those baby steps, right? So that's how you want to treat the Lashawan Qadash. You want to give it the proper respect and take those baby steps. You know what I mean? With that, we're going to start with the Lashawan Qadash alphabet, right? If you got that, before we get started, you want to make sure you got your notes with you. Make sure you got your learning utensils. Make sure you got your learning tools. Make sure you got all your resources. And tonight we also going, as we always do, we gonna kind of go into how to use these sources, but we're gonna share the resources on the screen, so that if you're watching online and you maybe don't have access to these resources, you can actually see visually how we navigate these resources and how you can access these resources as well, so that we can close that gap. All right. We're gonna start off with the Lashawan Qadash alphabet. Make sure you got your notes with you, and make sure you're following along with your notes, with your Lashawan Qadash, where you're in the portion where you have your Lashawan Qadash alphabet written. All right. So we got A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Cha, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, I, Pa, Taza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, and Tha. All right. So if you know what I'm saying, if you got your notes, go ahead and just go over those. You can go over those a couple times. I would recommend, especially if you're not comfortable or familiar with it, from A to Tha, like you just saw me demonstrate. If you're not able to say it from A to Tha, I would suggest you go into your notes and read it from A to Tha. Maybe make up a song, you know what I mean? Make up a rhythm, or I know we adults, we don't want to, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to, we want to keep a little bit of, you know what I mean? I know we adults, we don't want to kind of treat ourselves like children, but it does help to kind of create a cadence. You know what I mean? We're already familiar with the the English alphabet and the English alphabet song. When I first learned, just to, you know what I'm saying, give you a little alley-oop. You know what I'm saying? What I did when I was learning at first, I was able to kind of fit the Lashawan Qadash alphabet, or the Lashawan Qadash characters from A to Tha, into the cadence of the ABC song. And that helped me be able to remember the Lashawan Qadash alphabet from A to Tha. So if that's something that you might think is helpful, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Go ahead, use that tool, because this is our language and our culture. And we got to treat it with we got to treat it with more effort and more importance than we do with our oppressor's language. All right. So, you know what I'm saying? That's a tool that you could use to help you. And then once you learn it, once you get it down pat, you don't have to ever learn it again. Just like the English alphabet. Once you learn the English alphabet song, you never had to learn the English alphabet again. So you just got to put in that effort for maybe a couple days in a row, and then you got it and you never have to learn it again. All right. Also, let's make sure we're practicing the penmanship as well, because that's a huge part of it. Reading it, being able to speak it and read it is a huge part of it as well. But another piece that we want to make sure we don't overlook is being able to write it as well. All right. So as you speaking it, as you practicing speaking it and saying it, as you practicing reading it, let's make sure we get that practice in writing it as well. All right. We just covered that. Go over the Lashawan Qadash numbers as well, because again, what we're gonna do tonight is go into the Blue Letter Bible, or what is it? Bible Hub, Salakia. I believe Blue Letter Bible is another resource that you could use that could be helpful to you as you learn the Lashawan Qadash. It might be helpful as well. But the main resource that we use when we read in during Sabbath service is Bible Hub. So you probably want to get acclimated to that sooner than later. But what we're going to do is go into Bible Hub and read the Lashawan Qadash and read the scriptures that we're going to get into during Sabbath service, which is going to be tomorrow morning as usual. All right. And as you're reading, it's going to be a lot of things like the Lashawan Qadash alphabet we just went over. Of course, you're going to need that, obviously, but it's going to be a lot of sight words that you're going to see that's going to help you be able to flow through the Lashawan Qadash. And a good number of them is going to be the numbers. So it might be very helpful for you to learn your numbers and be able to say your numbers from 1 to 10 or from Akkad to Ishra, and let that, you know what I mean, let that become part of your muscle memory as well. And again, just like it was in kindergarten, you learned your numbers from 1 to 10, and then once you learned it and you had it down pat, you never had to learn it again. You know, there was never a point in your life where you forgot your numbers. You know, I hope not. But we're going to go into the Lashawan Qadash numbers, and it's the same sentiment. If you go into the Lashawan Qadash numbers and remember it from Akkad to Ishra or 1 to 10, then once you got it down pat, then you never have to learn it again. You never have to go back and try to study it every day. All right. And that's what's like. I'm going to leave it at that. But we're going to go into the numbers real quick before we get into the lesson. So we got Akkad, Shanya, Shalash, Arabai, Chamash, Shishai, Shabai, Shemawanah, Dashai, and Ishra. All right. And once you learn the Lashawan Qadash, numbers from Akkad to Ishra, then you could compound those and move on to 11 through 20, and then use that same method to get from 20 to 30, then 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on. So you got Akkad Ishra, Shanya Ishra, the Shah Ishra, Salakia, Akkad Ishra, Shanya Ishra, Shabai Ishra, Salakia, good night, Shalash Ishra, Arabai Ishra, Chamash Ishra, Shishai Ishra, Shabai Ishra, Shemawanah Ishra, Dashai Ishra, and Ishra Yum. And then after you get to 20, which is Ishra Yum, then you do the same thing. Akkad Ishra Yum, Shalash Shanya Ishra Yum, Shalash Ishra Yum, Arabai Ishra Yum, so on. You see the pattern, right? Until you get to 30, right? Which is Shalash Yum. And then 40, Arabayum, right? 50, Chamashim, so on and so forth until you get to 100, right? Which is Ma'ah, right? So again, once you learn 1 through 10, once you get it memorized, once you get it down packed and you memorize it, then you never have to learn it again. All right, it's just gonna be something that you carry with you, and it's gonna be something that's gonna be able to help you flow through these scriptures. All right, because especially like we went through Genesis. As a matter of fact, we go ahead and go to let's see, we're gonna go to Genesis chapter. Lakia. Let me see. I don't want to skip too much, but let's get Genesis chapter 1. Start in the middle. All right. Start at verse 15, right? But as you read, well, Genesis, I'm gonna read it in the English real quick, just so you can see the point. All right, starting at 15, right? It says, "And let them be for light in the firmament in the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so." All right, and right, so in that verse right there, you know what I'm saying. Before we get into, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Let's see. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So what, Salakia. So what you should be able to see on the screen is, this is Bible Hub app right here. All right, brothers should already be very familiar with Bible Hub. You know what I'm saying? If you're a young man, a trooper, you know what I mean, you might be less familiar, but you already know during Sabbath service, all the priests got to come up and read a little bit of the Hebrew. All right. So you already know that's how it go. All right. So if you're on a laptop, again, like we talked about last week, it's going to look a little bit different. Like, for example, if you got your phone, right, you go to the Bible Hub app, it's going to automatically take you to John 3:16, because the Christian church is ran by devils and messengers of the devil. You know what I'm saying? Meaning your oppressor. But on this if you're looking online, it starts you from Genesis 1:1, which is very convenient. But on your phone, it's gonna start you in John chapter 3 verse 16. It's gonna be written in the Greek. All right, which we talked about a little bit earlier. But what you're going to want to do is just hit the, go to interlinear, right? Go to the portion that says interlinear, and then it's going to take you to a screen that looks, or it's going to take you to something that looks like this. All right, which is, it's going to have the Hebrew. Let me see if y'all see that online. Yeah. But you're going to see the Hebrew up top, which I got highlighted, and then you're gonna have the English rough translation or word for word translation underneath. All right. So that's Bible Hub. And then also, before we get into it, just want to introduce Salakia. Let's see this real quick. We also got this tool right here as well, which is, this is going to be 2-letter lookup. So this is going to be a tool that we use. It's going to be a tool that's going to be real helpful to you as you're trying to learn new words, as you're trying to look up and define words that you've come across. So if you want to, and you can do a direct search. So you can click here, and in the words that start with section, highlight it so you can see it online. You see the words that start with, right? You click on that, and then you type in, let's see, for example, let's use a word that we pretty familiar with. We got da, ba, ra, all right? All right, we should already be familiar with this word, right? Dabar, you know what I'm saying? Dabar meaning, Salakia. Dabar meaning to speak in most contexts, but to speak, to declare, right? This is something you're gonna see a lot of in Genesis through Deuteronomy. All right. So you can use it, you can type in the Hebrew in this section, or in this section you can do a reverse search. So I'm gonna say, if you want to learn how to say an English word in Lashawan Qadash, you can type it in. Make sure y'all see this. You could do your search right here, right? And it's gonna pull up all the words that you can use. Yavshkata, sir. Consider. Most High Christ. Hey, Slack. Yeah, I'm teaching Lashawan Qadash right now. Hey, Yavshkata. Yeah, so you can put in the actual word that you're looking for in this box here. So we put speak, right? Just to keep it simple. So you got Amar, you'll see that a lot. So say is another way to say speak, or to, you know what I'm saying, depending on its usage, right? Or, you know what I mean, you scroll right down here and you got Dabar, just like we typed in right here. You got Dabar, it's gonna give you the same information that you got. So the point is, you can use this resource to search a word in the Hebrew, or do a reverse search and search it in English and find out what it means in Hebrew. That's a powerful tool. We may get to practice with it today, but we may be able to practice with it a little bit tonight. But for right now, until the time comes or the opportunity arises, we're just gonna use Bible Hub and get familiar with this and kind of practice with applying what we already know, because that's the whole point of us having this on the screen. Usually, you know what I'm saying, usually we would have class, we usually have class down by the board, so we would go step by step, going one by one over you know what I mean, the Lashawan Qadash, phrase by phrase, word for word, how to write it, the little fine details of the Lashawan Qadash and how to write it, how to read it, how to speak it, how to break it down, etc. But right now, what we're gonna do is just bust the training wheels off a little bit so that we can start to become independent, you know what I'm saying, independent learners, independent studiers of the Lashawan Qadash, because this is our culture. You know what I mean? Let's not wait until Friday night Lashawan Qadash or Saturday Sabbath service decide that we're going to pick up our culture. So that's the whole point of, you know what I'm saying, doing it like this. All right. So we read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 15, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. All right. So we already know what this scripture is talking about. It's the creation of the earth, right? But the whole point of reading this is for us to pick out some of the some of the sight words that you should be able to identify and be able to know off the rip, without even, you know what I'm saying, without even thinking about it. Like just reading it in the English. The Lashawan Qadash is up there, but just reading it in the English, right? Baba Kashab Priest, if you don't mind, just for an example, you got the mic over there? Yeah. Okay, no sweat. You mind reading Genesis chapter 1, verse 15, and as you go through it, just, are there any words in this scripture that you know in the Lashawan Qadash? Like, for example, well, you understand what I'm asking? I hope I'm okay. Most High in Christ. if you could, just so we could give the class an example. You could go ahead whenever you ready.
Okay, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 15. And let and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so.
All right, so any of them English words that you see in there, what English words in there that you could see that you could just off the rip without even looking at Bible Hub that you could just translate in the Lashawan Qadash?
I know, I know heaven. I used to know heaven and earth.
Okay,
That's the only one I can recognize.
got you. You know him in the Lashawan Qadash or La'ah?
Let me Earth is Taza. I'm gonna say live.
Okay, no sweat. Now that was a good start though.
It's like Taza, right? Taza.
It does have a tazai in it. Yeah, yeah, kind. I see why you went straight there, and that's good because off the rip, because okay, you got Bible Hub in front of you. Look at see what you can. Just look at that verse in the Lashawan Qadash, and then it's just gonna come back to you. But that's the whole point. That's the whole point. When you reading these words, as you reading them, it's just gonna pop out to you. Like certain words, just like that brother just did. Like, right, calm. Nah, you Tawal, Most High Christ, give yourself a hand. Yeah, calm. Now that's the whole point though. Like, cause you off the rip. Like as you read it, you already even though you couldn't remember off the top of your head, when you read it in the English, you was like, okay, this is I already know what this is. I see this all the time. I see heaven all the time, so I'm familiar with what this is, and I see earth all the time in the scriptures, so I'm familiar with this is. That's the whole point. That's what you want to do with the Lashawan Qadash, like like we was just like when we was in grade school, you know what I'm saying? We reading and we start to see words over and over and over. We had those moments. I remember having those moments in grade school. It was like, I know what this word is. I just read this word. What is it? And you sounding it out. And then you got to work through it. And before now, the words that you used to struggle with, now it's like something that you just breeze over because you see it so much and you remember having to stop and sound it out and practice it so much. Now it becomes a strong point in your speech, right? But that's exactly what the brother just demonstrated is exactly the point. Like as you read in this Lashawan Qadash, and let's go back to the Bible Hub, just like the brother just said. Okay, so you just where was we at? Where's Earth? There you go. So he said Earth was what? You said Earth was what?
Earth is Horatazah.
Aratazah. So we got Aratazah is Earth. So now we can flow through this, right? So Aratazah is Earth, but now we just separated the root word from this part right here in the beginning, which is a preposition. So now you could put it together. So this is Aratazah without the preposition. You add the preposition, it becomes what?
It becomes Horatazah.
Right, Haratazah. Just no, what you and I'm glad you just said that, cause like what you said, I think you said you said Haratazah. Yeah, but it's the same thing. The way you said it ain't wrong. Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. The way you said it wasn't wrong. It's just you got a different dialect than I do. So you might say it like you might say it differently than I do, or you might say it differently than when you first start learning the Hebrew. Like for example, when you sounding out words, like I'm gonna use I had an English word. It was a continental, right? For example, right? The word continental. Say continental.
Continental.
Now you see what you did. Okay, so when you first learning the word, you say the each, huh? Go ahead. I think you know where I'm going with this. Go ahead, say what you was about to say.
It's like a LMP
Yeah.
together.
Exactly. It's like that's how we do with our language. Like once we get comfortable or once we get familiar with it, instead of saying like when you were younger or when you first learned the word continental, you might have pronounced it like that. But as you get more familiar with the language, then you start to kind of swallow certain sounds. Instead of saying continental, you say continental. Like that word, I believe it got 2 or 3 T's in it, and I ain't say not one T in that word. That's the exact same way with the Lashawan Qadash. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? The way you said that, you know what I'm saying? You just familiar with it. So you said instead of saying ha-aratazah, like I'm being dramatic because I'm teaching, but you just was like ha-ratazah because it's familiar. You're familiar with the prepositions. You're familiar with the root words, and that's the whole point of doing what we doing. All right. So the water again, priest.
Don't sweat. Heaven is Shemayim.
Right. Damn right. So let's go to that. Let's go to that word right there. Shamayamum. It's like a Shamayama, right? Shemayim. So again, this is Shemayim, meaning heaven or heavens, because Shemayim can be plural or singular. You know what I'm saying? That's what you call an irregular plural, something that we should already be familiar with because of our notes. So we got Shemayim meaning heaven or heavens. So now that leaves a preposition on the front. So you put it all together. You go ahead, priest.
I'm trying to remember how you put ha.
Hashemayim, right. And it's real easy. It just becomes easy. You already know the root word, and then you just add the preposition to it. So now you go from Shemayim to Hashemayim, right? Or Aratazah to Ha-Aratazah, right? So that's the whole point, right? Now you reading through the Lashawan Qadash, and certain things you don't have to pause and try to stumble over, right? Certain things you're still gonna do it because you're gonna be coming up on new words all the time as you read in the Lashawan Qadash. So if you don't have this, if you're not seeing sight words, Salakia, you're still gonna have to use that 4-step method that we have on the board that you should have in your notes, that you should have memorized at some point. But you're gonna have to use that often. But there's certain areas where you don't have to use that 4-step method, where you could just recognize sight words, and that's, you know what I'm saying, earth, like we just talked about, Aratazah, heaven, Shemayim, water, Mayum, sea, yum. You know what I mean? Just off the top of my head, tree, Itaza, bird, Iwap. Saying certain things like that should be sight words. Man, Ayash, woman, Asha, things like that. That should just be sight words. And then the numbers as well. So if you, again, familiar with the numbers, you'll start to see, and we're gonna get into it a little bit tonight as well. But as you start to look at it, you start to see the numbers, and it'll just be familiar to you, and it'll just pop out to you. All right. Let me see. We're gonna go to verse 16 real quick. All right. And as we go through, make sure you type your question, any question in the chat, you know what I mean, so that we can learn as a family, so that I can, you know what I'm saying, so that any class that you in, whether it's Lashawan Qadash and Killeen, or Lashawan Qadash in any other zone, or if it's scripture breakdown or brotherhood law class, any class that you in, you wanna ask your questions so that you can get what you need out of class. You know what I mean? There's no point of sitting in class every day and, you know what I mean, not getting anything out of it. I mean, that's the whole point of class, so that you can learn, so that you can be more familiar with your culture and your language and your laws and how you could be a better brother, a better sister. So any class that you in, you want to make sure you ask questions so that you can tailor the class toward what you need. But otherwise, you know what I mean, that brother might just carry on with his lesson. It might be something that you're already familiar with. It might be something a little bit too heavy for you. All right. So you want to make sure you ask your questions and participate so that you can tailor the class to what you need. Right. Whether you can do that no matter what zone you in, whether you're online or sitting in class, you can do that with any class that you in live. All right. So don't forget to get them questions in. But we just going to go ahead and continue. Right. We're going to continue with Genesis chapter 1, verse 16. See if we can pick out a couple of more of these sight words. Salaki, let me get back there with you. This is 1:16. All right. And also, well, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it, and then we're gonna break down. We're gonna try to pick out a couple of these sight words. So, Waya Aisha, Alahayim, Ath Shanya, Ha Awar, Wa Awarta, Ha Gadalyum, Ath Ha Awa, it's like Ha Hama Awar. Salaki. Ha Gadol La Mama Slaki Ya Slaki La Ma Mashalath Slaki La Ma Mashalta Ha Yawum Wa'ath Ha Ha Ma'awar Ha Quatun La Mama Shalta Ha Layala Wa'ath Ha Kawakabyum. All right. So starting from the top, right? Starting from the top. Let me see. Make sure y'all can see this. See if I can go. There we go. All right. See what y'all working with. We got Waya Aisha, right? Right? Waya Aisha Alahayim. Right? We should be very familiar. We should be very familiar with this right here. This right here. Right? If you're familiar with your prepositions, you should be very familiar with this, because all throughout the scriptures, you're going to see waya, 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 right? If you're familiar with your prepositions, you got your preposition notes in front of you. If you're not familiar with the prepositions, then you could look at your notes and see that wa is a preposition meaning and ya is a preposition meaning he, all right? So when you look at it, you just see, why ya, you automatically know it's and he. And then it's 9 times out of 10 gonna be followed by a verb, right? Which is, you know what I'm saying, it's a stem formation that we're gonna get into in the next couple, you know what I'm saying, next couple weeks in another lesson. But let's just focus on the preposition for right now and picking out the root word so that we can memorize these things. All right, so we got waya meaning and he, and that leaves your root word Aisha, right? Whenever you see Aisha, Whenever you see Aisha, know that means do or make, right? And you know that by clicking on this concordance code, right? You click on that concordance code, whether you're using your phone or you're online. If you're online, you could just hover over it and it'll give you a shortcut and show you without you having to leave your page. But if you look on the screen, it'll say to do, right? And then now it's going to show you who's doing something. So it says Alahayim. All right. In English, it says God, but we know God in English translate to the Hebrew as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and click it so you don't think that I'm just talking out the side of my neck. All right. So you got Alahayim, meaning divine being, messenger, judges, rulers, right? Let's see what else. Angels, right? But any of those things, when you're talking about Alahayim, that's what we're dealing with. So it says God right here, but that word means angel, messenger, power, or authority. Also, if you look into your Bible dictionary, it'll tell you the same thing. Your Zondervan Bible dictionary, it'll tell you the same thing. All right. So that's another sight word that we should be familiar with. Alahayim. You should be familiar with that off the rip. You should already know that means angel, messenger, power, or authority. Right. This is just it's a word, because you see this word doesn't have an English translation underneath, right? Right. It doesn't have a English translation underneath, and it doesn't have a word for word translation like every other word does, right? It's just something that is used in the Lashawan Qadash to join a verb to a subject, right? Or join a subject to something else, right? All right, so we already established that, and he made the angels, or the Alahayim, right? This word is just ath. Whenever you see ath in the middle, it's just joining two things together, right? Or it's joining one thing, in this case, the Alahayim, to what the Alahayim made, right? So just to, you know what I'm saying, just real quick, just to let you know what that is. Whenever you see that, just know that it's just joining Ath to, or just joining Alahayim to what the Alahayim is making, which is the subject here, and he made, all right? Now here we go, all right? Here we go. We got Shah, Na, and Yah right here, right? Now for just to, you know what I'm saying, not to drag on too long, you can just you can peek underneath and see the English. Now, real quick, before I go into this, before I move on any further, what you got to understand about the Lashawan Qadash, is that it's not English. All right. So a mistake that brothers and sisters may do often is we'll use we'll read the Lashawan Qadash as if it's English, or we'll just try to translate it word for word, phrase by phrase, as if it's English, or you know what I mean, taking an English sentence and their sentence structure and then trying to apply it to the Lashawan Qadash. So then we'll end up using certain words or phrases or certain lingo or sentence structure that we don't use in the Lashawan Qadash. For example, English uses a lot of filler words, a lot of words that we don't use in the Lashawan Qadash. Like in the Lashawan Qadash, there's not a lot of filler words, but there's a lot of filler words in the English. So that's something that you want to kind of be aware of when translating the Lashawan Qadash from English to Hebrew or Hebrew to English. But with that being said, I know a lot of times brothers will try to what I'm saying, brothers will try to cheat and read the Lashawan Qadash from either up here using your oppressors transliteration. I can't highlight it, but using oppressor's transliteration of the Lashawan Qadash, we'll try to cheat it and try to breeze through the Hebrew that way, but it always doesn't work that way. And then also you may look at the English and do the same thing underneath. And it's good. It'll be good sometimes. You know what I mean? Like if you're not familiar with the characters or I know it happens. I know it happens a lot. You might be real familiar with the Lashawan Qadash, but then you go to read it, and it might you might stumble or trip up a little bit more than you expected you would. Even though you know what this word is, you might not be able to vocalize it like you thought you would. So you might give yourself a reminder by peeking down at this English down here, right? So we got the English under the word right here. We got the English up under the word saying two, right? That's the English. So now we can just go into our memory bank and be like, all right, how do you say two in the Lashawan Qadash, right? We know two is Shanya. So now you could just skip through it like, okay, this is two. So now I know this is Shanya. So now you could just say, Waya Aisha Alahayam Ath Shanya, right? And then, but that's how, you know what I mean? That's how often these numbers pop up. Like, I mean, that's how advantageous it is to understand your numbers from, at least from Akkad to Ishura, because these are the things that's going to pop up often. And then the numbers are going to be built off of 1 through 10 or Akkad to Ishura. Right. So we talking about, and the angels made, right? Waya Aisha Alahayam Ath Shanya, they made two what? Right? All right, made two what? We just click on this concordance code, right? All right, click on the concordance code and figure out. If you don't know what the root word is, or you don't know how to pronounce it, you can click the concordance code and it'll give you it'll separate the root word from the preposition. And it'll help you doing this. It'll help you be able to ask questions, form questions, right? So, and we look at the English under here. We know that reading it from the English, we know that this word has something to do with lights. All right. So you got ha, ma, ah, ra, and tha. All right. So you could take the four-step method. You know what I mean? I don't want to give it away, but you know what I mean, just to be able to help you find different angles to be able to think through maybe a word or a phrase that you're not familiar with. You can take several different approaches into finding out what it means or what's going on. Right? Right. So you got so you could take the four-step, right? So you got finding your prepositions, finding out what your prepositions are, if any, finding out any possessives, if any, isolating your root word, if that might be more helpful, and then isolating your tenses, right? And we're going to see all four of these as we break this down. But, all right, so you got your preposition, all right? You can automatically assume the first word or the first character, rather, Salakia, in a phrase is a preposition. All right. So This ha right here, you can assume until otherwise proven that this is a preposition. So ha is what we just established earlier. Ha means the, right? Going to the next step. And again, these are in no particular order, but just for learning purposes, I'm gonna go step by step so that we can see each step. All right. The second step is finding your possessives. Now, you could go to the end and assume the last characters are possessives, but that's not necessarily as effective. But you can, you know what I'm saying? That's a good place to start in the first place. All right. In this case, there are no possessives because tha is, or actually Salakia, in this case, tha, you do have a possessive. Tha is a possessive in some contexts, but in this case, it's not a possessive, and I'm gonna break it down. All right, no sweat, priest. But in this case, it's not a possessive, and we're gonna break it down. So you go to the next tense, all right? But okay, so say you just assume that this is a possessive, all right? So tha means thou or thee, right? So let's just assume that that's thou or thee. But if you look in the English, are we talking about you? Because that's what thou or thee means, you. Is there a you in the English? Are we talking about you or a person talking to you or something like that? That's not what we're talking about. So contextually, this is not a tha, or meaning thou or thee. This tha means something else, all right? So now we're gonna go to step 3, find out what the root word is. So we know that this is something else. So if it's not a, or actually we're gonna go to 4, right? So tenses. So we know that this isn't a preposition or a possessive, right? This isn't a possessive, right? So we can assume that since this isn't a possessive, this is a tense. And that's why I said what I said earlier. Like, you can assume that the last character is a possessive if necessary to help you go through your thought process. But as you go through the thought process and start breaking these things down using practical knowledge, then you might find out that first initial assumption, while it may be helpful in some cases, it's not necessarily correct in this case. All right. And you might find another answer. So the next thing, you find out that this isn't a possessive. Now you can go to the next thing. This is probably a tense, and we're going to break it down a little bit. So that leaves what? So we know that this right here, we know that this ha in the beginning right here is a possessive. So lock you. We know that this ha right here, let me turn this off. We know that this ha right here is a preposition meaning the. We know that this tha right here is a tense meaning a something that's added to the word that affects the how the word is used, basically, for lack of better explanation. All right. So now we got to figure out what this word is. All right. So we got ma'ar. Right. So now you click on the concordance code. Click on the concordance code. Right. And we see ma'awar, right? So like, let me get my board. This is gonna require a little bit more. Salakia, the water. All right. So look, I'm gonna zoom in for you. Now we just looked at we just broke down. We just write this down real quick. We side by side this real quick. All right, so you see ma'awar, right? Now, what we was looking at before, this phrase right here, this is what we was looking at just a second ago. We got ha, ma, artha, right? As we looking at, right? Now we established right here, right, that this is, let's see, this right here, or Salaki, we established that this right here is your possessive, meaning the, right? Right? So you got your possessive, meaning the right here. This is a tense, right? And just for the breakdown sake, this is a categorization tense, right? So this is talking about categories, right? Categories of things. So you might see it behind, like, for example, when the Most High created, when the Most High created animals, he created different categories of animals. So he created fish and all their kind and after their kind, and birds and different types of birds after their kind, and four-footed beasts after their kind, things like that. He created categories, right? Things like that. You'll see this suffix, this tha, at the end of the word for father, which is Abba. So you'll see Abba with this suffix at the end, this tha at the end, meaning categories of fathers. Like when you see fathers, instead of saying Abba Yum, you'll see Abba, you'll see Abath, right? Meaning categories like grandfather, great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers, fathers, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So this is a categorization tense, right? And then that leaves this root word right here. This root word right here, or Salakia, ma'ar, right? Right? Now what we got on the screen is the concordance, what you see when you click on the concordance code above that phrase. So you click on it, and it gives you a completely different word, it seems like, right? So we got the root word here, it's ma'ar, right? And in the concordance code, it says ma'awar, right? Meaning a luminary, right? Okay, no sweat. You got ma'awar, meaning a luminary, right? Or something luminous, right? So how do we go from ma'ar to ma'awar, right? This is something that you want to, it's something that you want to keep in mind as you read in the Lashawan Qadash. When you read in the Lashawan Qadash, you might take a root, you'll notice that when things like tenses, when we start to compile tenses and root words, or a tense on a tense, basically, for lack of better explanation, you might see a lot of times we'll omit or get rid of that extra tense, so to speak, for better flow or sentence, for better sentence flow or better pronunciation, you know what I mean, so that we don't get tongue-tied while speaking our language, right? So as you read the scriptures, you'll see that a lot of times as we breaking down the Lashawan Qadash, all right? So the root word, this word right here is ma'ar, right? But it comes from ma'awar, right? Now, we could break this down even further, because again, if you look at it, once you get the raw root word, you're gonna get to 2 to 3 characters. 2 to 3 characters. Now, if your root word has 4 characters, 9 times out of 10, there's something attached to it. Maybe a preposition or a tense attached to it, right? In this case, just for time's sake, right, this ma, and as we talked about in past classes, this ma is a character that means of or from, right, in a lot of cases. But in a lot of cases, in many cases, that ma will just completely change the root word and completely, right? So now we're left with, okay, we got ma, it's like we got ma awar, right? Meaning luminary or bright or something that's luminous, right? You take off that ma, right, which is a preposition that means over from, you're left with what? Right? You're left with awar, right? That's what you're left with. And awar is the root word. That is the raw root word, awar, right? Awar is the raw root word meaning light, all right? So now we could reverse and build it back up, right? We're going to build it back up to the initial sentence. Let's go back to this. Salakia. So we're going to build it right back up, right? And see how we got this phrase right here. Let me see if y'all can see that. Let me make sure. So we're going to build it back up and see how we got this. We got ma, salakia, ha, ma, salakia. Oh, I'm in the wrong part, salakia. And I just gave it to y'all because this is how you know. Well, salakia. Salakia, we right here. Salakia, here we go. All right, but we're going to build it right back up and see how we got from a war. Make sure y'all got it. How we got from a war, which is the root word for light, to ha-ma'arath. All right. So what we did, right, what was done, we added a preposition because we're not talking about, we're talking about more than one light, right? Because the previous word here was 2. So the Alaham made 2 lights, right? 2 lights. So now we talking about plural. So this phrase in a nutshell is the lights, all right? So ha ma'artha, or salakia, ha ma'arath, right? The lights, right? So how we get from ha ma'arath out of a war, we added ha to mean the, and then ma'awar is built off the root word amar, but we added the ma of lights or luminous, right? Or illuminations, because we're talking about 2 lights. In this case, in this context, we're talking about the moon and the sun, right? Right. But we're talking about 2 illuminations, right? So illumination or something luminous is built off of adding a ma to the beginning of the word for light, which is awar. So ma'awar becomes a new word, right? And then you add your tense because we're pluralizing the lights, but it's different categories of light, right? So once you add a tense, typically in the Lashawan Qadash, once you add a tense for sentence flow, for ease of flow, we'll omit that extra tense, that wa right here, right? So now that's how you get ma'arath. All right. And that's another thing that we was talking about earlier. It has a lot to do with, dialect and the development of the language as well. So you'll see, as words are, as we get more comfortable, as we start to speak the language amongst one another more often and start to flow through things, we'll just start to hear, like we use the example continental, right? We know the word is continental, but as you're speaking, you'll just say in the continental hotel. We'll just say it, and we'll start to omit certain sounds, but we'll know, but we'll know as just using context and familiarity with the language, we'll know what we're talking about. All right. So it's the same with that. Like you take for example, you take Reuben in the Lashawan Qadash. Reuben and Lashawan Qadash is Ra'awaban, right? You get familiar with the language, you say Ra'awaban. Now you start to hear Reuben as we get familiar, so you can see how as our language went through so much of our oppressors putting their hands on it and, being around us in our captivity as we spoke our own language, they'll translate it as Reuben, but in the Lashawan Qadash, it's Ra'awaban, right? It's the same concept here. So you got Ma'awar, right? As you speaking it, especially when you add another tense to the end, that tha, it goes from ma'war to ma'warath. So, and now you hear, I'm saying ma'awa, it's like a ma'awarath, but I'm saying it's flowing through now, so it sounds like ma'awrath, which is what you see here, right? But that's something that you'll see a lot of while reading the Lashawan Qadash during Sabbath service or like studying. You'll see a lot of that. When you add a tense to the end, we'll typically omit this extra sound, right, for flow, right? All right. And just so we could double down on that before we get out, all right? So lock you. Two-letter lookup. Let's go to two-letter lookup, right? And this is something, all right? This is something that, again, is a very helpful tool that you can use often if you're unsure of something or if you want to just understand something, right? Right, so I just typed in awar, right? It gives you the same thing we just read in Bible Hub, awar, to be luminous, right? Or you start to go down through these translations. You got light of day, light of heavenly luminaries. All the words, all the synonyms that we just read when we click this concordance code in Bible Hub. Right. So now what we just did was cross reference. Right. We might have depending on your level of understanding of the Lashawan Qadash, certain things might be a little bit more complicated than others. But as you're learning, you can make those complicated things simple just by cross referencing things like we just did using a two-letter lookup. Right. So I just typed in awar. Right. It brought up exactly what we just read in Blue Letter Bible or Bible Hub, Salakia. And then I'm just to double down, just to triple down, right? Type it in, cross-reference it in the English, right? And as you see, it gives you the same thing we just looked at. Real quick, let's do this real quick. Let's type ma war. All right, we got it right here. Ma'or. Right. A luminous body, luminary, light, brightness. Right. And I'm just if I'm skipping over certain words, you know what I mean, it's a different usage out not in the context that we're looking at it right now, which is in Genesis 1:6. So well, we got luminous body, luminary, light, brightness, you know what I'm saying? Something lighting, right? Things like that. But that's exactly what we just read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 16. And we found that out all by just cross-referencing, maybe things that we might not have, cross-referencing maybe new words that we might not be familiar with, a new concept that we might not be familiar with. But we were able to look this up by being familiar with the concept of what this character right here, Salakia, this character right here. Let's see what this character right here, this ma, does to a word. So if you're familiar with that concept, like for example, in the root word, the word zabak, right? It's altar, right? You add ma to the beginning of that, mazabak. Now that word goes from altars to sacrifice, because a sacrifice comes from an altar, right? Same with judge. The word for judge is shapat. Ma shapat, you add a ma to the beginning, it goes from judge to judgment, because judgment comes from a judge, which is what that ma means, of or from. All right, so it's the same concept. And by understanding that concept, you can put this word into your resources and get a sure understanding or breakdown of a phrase and what happens to it, how you get from, or how a phrase, you know what I'm saying, changes or is used, or its intention, right? During, you know what I'm saying, as you're reading through. Right. And again, like we talked about earlier, you know what I mean, you being more familiar with these resources, you getting familiar with how to use these things. You get familiar with, you reading Bible Hub on your own time, you using two-letter lookup on your own time. You'll run into things like this more often. And then when you get to Lashawan Qadash class, that's how you develop questions, by doing study and doing research on your own. And then you'll start to see certain patterns, and then you'll start to get used to that pattern until you get hit with a phrase that's out of your understanding of what the pattern should be. And then you can take those questions and bring them to class, and then we can break them down like we just did this. And this was an excellent example. But with that, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to say I majum, which means, or salakia. You know what I'm saying? Or it's like we're going to say I majum, which means to stand. I mean, going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Individual Majum Shabbat. I majum, Barak, Yahaba Shem Shah Brakathum, Yajimatah. Sorry, we're going to do a courtesy salute to the sisters. Individual Majum Shabbat. I majum, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Latham Ba Shem Shah, Yajimatah. Dismiss.